Even though I've already got the single fast hitch plow and the rollover fast hitch plow for my 78 Cub, I did not have plows for the 48 Cub. Yesterday I picked these up. Do I need them? No, not really. I just feel like the more implements you have for the tractor, the more it makes it worth overall. And so I got a really sweet deal on these. And so here they are. So this here is another 48 Cub that I picked up. It's been sitting outside for a few years and it's lost spark. It also had some cruddy old gas in it. The kill switch isn't hooked up, and so he was just using a ground wire off the mag, and he said that was a $400 Magneto, and it does look new. It's got 4 brand new tires on it. The manifold hasn't, but you can see the switch isn't hooked up here. It has the hydraulics on it, the rear lift, set of weights on it, and I've got the latch bars for the plows. I also basically got the contents of his barn. So yeah, there's not the whole front end of a Cub in here. Full set of cultivators with the hillers, a bunch of generators, the belt pulley, belts, muffler. There's like 3 parts for a front blade, another whole box of stuff. And then you can't see it, there's another whole box full of period nuts and bolts here. I got this little Cub harrow. It's totally complete and not broken. And it must be 4 feet in the front and 5 in the back. But this is just what it looks like compared to my little Mahindra. And then I got this original McCormick knife sharpener that would go on the iron wheel of a sickle mower. Another box of parts, some IH wrenches. I got the original manual for the tractor, and he gave me all the manuals for the implements, the plow, the plows, the harrow, cultivators, all of it. And those are just ones that I had. Probably the most cantankerous piece of machinery I have is putting this post hole digger on, and I only use it a few times a year. But I've learned, get the top on first. You have to take your top link off. You can get that in from the tractor seat. You just really finesse the clutch and slip that pin in. And then once you get these out right here, it goes on really slick. But I have tried every way from Sunday to put these on by myself. And so far the easiest way I found, which is almost seamless, it's ludicrous how easy it is. Hook the top in first, and then the bottom will swing right into your lower draft link. The key is you got to have the back end on something, because you're not going to manhandle the arch from this side, because leverage is against you, all the weight's back here, and that's your fulcrum in front. So if you've got weight on the back, or the weight is sitting on a block, it takes the strain off the arch, and you got to have flexible end links really to do this. If you don't, that makes your life more difficult. And with these flex links here, I just take the pin out. That lets my draft link swing in or out, and then with this flex link, I hook it on, and then it's just a matter of a little bit of wiggling, and everything's back in place. So this flex link is out. I'll just back the track up a little bit. That'll connect that. I'll hook the drive shaft on, and we'll be in business. One last thing is, before you can hook the drive shaft, you actually have to raise the arch up, because the drive shaft will pinch at the top of the arch, which is why it's important that when you park this, whatever you set the gearbox on is high enough so when the drive shaft drops, it doesn't pinch. So that's all connected, and then we'll just raise the arms up. We're good to go. These old dog legs or hood extensions, whatever you want to call them, they're totally rotted off on the bottom. I took the emblems off here, and I'm going to put them on the new one. And I don't want to mess up the installation. I've got automatic center punch, so I'm going to get the holes lined up, and then see what the dimples are. So I'll figure out what size drill bit that was. get this drilled out and then put the new, well, the old ones back on. Let's see where we're at. There, all drilled out, just like the original. Everything I do when I restore these tractors or any project is I pretty much have a goal that I want to have done by the end of the day or by the end of the time I'm working on it that day. And I just set a goal and then finish that part, because otherwise I'd get overwhelmed. And you know, some people will tear a whole tractor apart and then just have a, some people will tear their whole tractor apart and then they'll just have a, you know, a frame, a hulk, and a huge pile of parts, and I just can't do that. It would be too overwhelming for me. I would, it's not something that I want to do. So when I restore old tractors, I take a few things off and I fix it, and then I put it back on, and then I move on to something else, take it off and fix it and put it back on. And so I don't do engine rebuilds. It's not something I want to do. And so when I get these old tractors, the requirement is that they have to be running, and so they can't be you know, a hulk that might run if you put it all back together again. It actually has to be running, or at least able to run. There's a guy I've met, and he said pretty much with these old tractors, if the engine will turn over, they'll run. So yeah, so they have to turn over. They don't have to be super pretty. I don't mind prettying them up, and I can wire them up. I can take components off and put them back on, and I can troubleshoot issues. But when it comes down to like taking the head off and lapping valves, rebuilding cylinders and everything else like that, that's just not something that I want to do. So it has to run, and you know, the clutch has to work, the gears have to work. Other than that, anything's game. So here's my dog legs, the old emblems, and we'll put these on and see how that looks. This is my other 48. We just timed the mag, so that's all good. And we tried dragging it around, and tried dragging it again. I just changed out all the gas. Just pouring white smoke out of it, so it must be bad gas. But we'll give it another try and see what happens. I feel like today's just an unlucky day. I went about 100 feet and snapped the universal off. There's my drive shaft. I have another one hanging up in the barn, so I guess I got to go back up and go change this out. I should have broke the shear pin, but it didn't. I guess I'm lucky it broke this instead of something inside the tractor. But that's not supposed to be the failsafe. That is. Just another day on the farm. Drove all the way down here, mowed 100 feet, broke the universal. Now I get to drive all the way back out and change out a drive shaft. Boy, today sure feels like a Monday. I had separated the two smaller steers, Butch and Sundance, from the rest of the herd so that they wouldn't get pushed away and they could be in with the sheep, but they figured they wanted to be with the rest of the herd anyway, so they knocked the fence down in the corner. So when I get done fixing this, I'm gonna have to go fix the fence. And you wouldn't think you'd have to build your fences like Fort Knox, but what are they? I don't even have any bulls. They say horse high, bull strong, pig tight, and whatever else. Anyway, it feels like Monday. So I was able to take the end of my spare shaft, plug it back into here. This ought to work. I actually like this one better. This one, let me show you real quick. So the one I took off has this type of connector where you have to squeeze it like this and slide it on. I absolutely hate these, and so the one I'm replacing it with just has a squeeze pin, so you can just push this pin in and slide it on. It's just so much easier. So I guess trying to look on the bright side. More junk metal for the scrap pile. Light iron isn't paying very much right now. Last time I took some in, I had 3,000 pounds and I got $62. And the place you take it, it's kind of a disaster. So if I end up getting a flat tire, I'm out $250 for $60, so it's not even worth it. It's one of my favorite things. It's Specialist dry lube, and so I spray the crap out of this. It's dirt and dust resistant too, so it doesn't pick up. If it has PTFE, it must be Teflon. It has Teflon in it. Just makes this go on and off a lot easier. And then all you have to do is squeeze this little pin and then slide it on. Okay, I'm a liar. Stock toolbox that comes on tractors these days, it's not worth anything. Even my Kubota only had a little plastic one like this, and it broke pretty much within a couple weeks of owning it. This is the one I took off my Kubota and put it on here, and I just feel like they really chinsed out on giving you a decent toolbox. Let's go do this again, take two. And the tree down, we're gonna get rid of. And there's two more down there. First thing I gotta do first thing I have to do today is take care of my angry employees. Henry, for some reason, wasn't eating as well as he should have been. So I brought him in for a few days to check up on him. He's actually going to go to the vets here next week for a checkup. I've been giving him a couple bottles a day. He was getting a little skinny. He was eating grass and hay and doing okay, it seemed, on his own out there, but he still hasn't really figured out how to interact with the flock. And that's pretty typical when you have a bottle baby. They just don't have their mother to, you know, show them the ropes. So they kind of have to figure it out on their own, and some are slower than others. So he was becoming lethargic, and we had noticed that he was getting a little skinny. So we decided to bring him in and give him a little bit extra attention. He seems to be doing all right now. Sometimes the cows outside really give me a start. It's not just me. I've seen, you know, many a post where people will say that this happens. And so I went out and looked a couple minutes ago, and I had a cow like just basically just sprawled out, and I'm like, oh man, I got a dead cow. And so I went out here just a minute ago and told him to come get their breakfast. And he's up, but I can't deal with that first thing in the morning to go out there and look at, you know, I'm a little startled, but he was just sprawled with his head back and tongue hanging out. I'm like, are you serious? But he's fine, so I'm going to get their grain.